Hello, 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 Transurfer and the Transurfing Curious. My name is Renee Garcia, guys, and this is TransurfingTV. And today on TransurfingTV, I think I'm gonna start to reveal how when I first read the book or started to absorb this knowledge, that I was actually quite skeptical of a few parts. First of all, the alternative space for me was like this thing that I just couldn't wrap my head around. And it wasn't until like a couple of years into my transurfing practice that I realized the value of this concept. And fascinatingly enough, this concept that I'm going over in this little 3-part series on the alternatives flow, if you missed the previous one, Going with the Flow, go back and take a look at that and then come back to this one so you can have a more well-rounded approach to the concept alternatives flow. But the alternatives flow for me was the most life-changing because as I stated in my previous video, I was like totally operating in a much different way pre-reality transurfing. It was all inner intention. It was all slapping my hands on the water. It was all fighting the current because I felt as though going with the flow denoted weakness or not being decisive enough. And even though the alternatives flow was like this concept that absolutely blew my mind apart, and I realized, oh my God, there's another way to operate. This part that I'm going to be discussing today, guiding signs, was part of the concept that I couldn't connect with. I didn't resonate, and I don't know, I just got these images of like, I don't know, some hippie dude like walking out in the forest, seeing a rainbow and being guided by the rainbow. I thought it was woo-woo. I thought it was too sort of, I don't want to say superstitious, but something along those lines. Like, why would I wait for my world to show me a sign? I just didn't get that part. So I'm going to read a little bit of this part today, and I'm going to show you or tell you how guiding signs ended up evolving my transurfing practice in a massive way, my professional endeavors, my romantic life. It pretty much upgraded everything about my reality when I released and gave in to this concept that, you know, inner intention and overthinking and slapping your hands on the water and all those sorts of activities essentially blind us to our world that will send us blaring signals showing us to a higher and better way. And it's a miracle. And I'm so happy that I sort of gave it up and I gave into this concept. After all, before I get started on this lesson, remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel and comment below. Join us on the Facebook group, the International Transurfing Institute Facebook group, and all the courses. Check out all those awesome detail pages. They are below. They are rocking. And we have lots and lots and lots of people joining the courses, awesome conversations in the exclusive Facebook group for the courses. So definitely check those out if you are interested, and follow me on Instagram, reality_transurfing. Okay, so I will get into it. This is 175 guiding signs. Okay, so how can we distinguish between an approaching sandbank or a waterfall and a normal turn in current? There are always tangible signs that will help us navigate ourselves through life. Life is constantly sending us signs. The most common, well-known sign is an omen. There are good and bad omens. Seeing a rainbow is a good omen. A black cat crossing the road is an omen of misfortune. Widely acknowledged omens are created as a result of multiple observations and comparisons. If the percentage of correctly predicted omens is high enough, a certain pattern is determined, which then becomes public opinion because people love to talk to one another about strange phenomenon. However, omens do not always come true, far from it, in fact. In Russia, when you forget something and have to go back for it, people worry because they say that returning to a place you have just left is a bad omen. Even if a person is not particularly superstitious, the strong social stereotype throws a shadow across their subconscious. The person begins to fear that something unpleasant will happen and so decides that it is not worth returning to pick up the thing they left behind. Unfortunately, that does not help either because an even flow has already been disturbed and the person is already slightly out of balance. The expectation of misfortune induces change into the parameters of a person's thought energy, and they shift to a lifeline that corresponds in quality. Not surprisingly, they then end up experiencing whatever it is they were feared. In effect, the person has allowed the possibility of the event to enter their personal script. This explains why an increasing percentage of omens are fulfilled. As you can see, the omen of itself cannot serve as a law or pattern. Why is it that everyone considers a black cat in particular to be a bad omen? Or put differently, how is it that a black cat can have any kind of influence on our lives? Of course, it is not the black cat that has the influence, but a person's response to seeing a black cat. If you believe in omens, they will play a role in shaping the events of your life. If you do not believe in omens but still experience doubts when you realize you have seen one, the influence will be slight. So, guiding signs are signs that indicate a possible turn in the alternative's flow. In other words, a guiding sign serves to herald an event that will substantially change the flow of everyday life. If you are expecting some sort of change in the current, however small, a sign will appear to signal its onset. A characteristic sign may also appear if an unexpected turn is coming up in the near future. When the alternatives flow makes a turn, you shift onto a different lifeline. The lifeline will be more or less homogeneous as far as quality of life is concerned. The stream in the alternatives flow can intersect many lifelines that have different parameters. The changes may be relatively insignificant, but you will nonetheless experience the difference. The qualitative change is noticed either consciously or subconsciously, with knowing that something is not quite the same as it was just a minute ago. Okay, so I'm going to stop here because I kind of feel like this is enough. And you get it, right? You get it, that it's not necessarily the object. Well, it's not the object. It's our association. If you wanted to, and I know it sounds a little bit wild, but if you wanted to start to believe that the next time you saw a black cat, that meant good luck, and you convinced yourself of this, this could become true to you. This could become true to you. And when you saw a black cat, it would tune your frequency to a higher and better frequency, a more positive frequency. So it's all about our interpretation of the sign that we are encountering. So this is where, when I talked about the fact that I did not like this idea of looking to our external world to show us these signs, because he even used it here, right? The rainbow, oh, that's a good omen. I thought, I'm not going to wait around and wait for some positive, sign, a rainbow or something that's going to help me feel as though I'm on the right path. But it really hasn't happened like that for me. I don't view typical omens. I'm not a superstitious person, and I don't view typical omens as being guiding to me, right? Like, I'm not seeing the rainbow and thinking I'm headed in the right direction. How I have boiled this part of this concept down to a practical place where I am guided daily in the right direction is by tuning my frequency to what I perceive as guiding signs that are going to help me on my journey. So I will give you an example. Let's say that someone sends me an email from my website and says, "Hey, Renee, I have a great idea. Why don't you do a video series on the 78 days of practical transurfing?" So this is a guiding sign. Now, how I typically operated in the past is I would have my, pre-transurfing reality, how I operated pre-transurfing reality, is I would have my list of things that I was doing for whatever the endeavor was. And if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I've got an idea for you," I would be like, no ideas right now. I'm doing this stuff. Pitch to me your idea later. And I would essentially close the doors on that information or advice or idea coming into my layer of reality, because I knew best, right? I was doing it my way. I had it all figured out. Of course, I'm being sarcastic here. And anything else that was coming from the outside was wrong, a distraction. Oh, you don't know what it's like. Oh, you don't know how to run a business like this. This was my typical attitude. So I have stopped with all of that stuff. It just does not exist anymore. Even if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, have you thought of like the other day, one of the team members said something about Patreon not really performing well." And I'm like, you know what? I actually don't really suggest people to subscribe to the Patreon or join and whatever it's called. And I took that as a guiding sign that this is an opportunity for me to cleanse something in my layer of reality that is there and kind of existing, but isn't necessarily serving a higher purpose. So I put it on the list to cancel Patreon. So now this is how I operate. I am simply a vessel. As I previously suggested in the video before this, going with the alternatives flow, it's about not fighting your reality and insisting that you know the way and splashing your hands on the water and swimming against the current or trying to sail your boat up a current. And it's not about completely releasing to your world and just letting your reality be fed to you. There is a middle line to ride, which is you setting the vector of your flow and not fighting, not trying to solve problems, not trying to consider all the ways in which something will materialize, but keeping yourself open, your eyes open, your mind open to new information and material and ways in which you can reach that goal, do that thing, have that thing, be that thing, whatever it is that you intend to have. And you're simply staying present, staying aware with your fortified intention, asking your world to present to you in all the ways you can achieve what it is that you're looking to achieve. And then being ready, willing, and able to move on those signals from your reality. So again, this for me looks like I don't have to think of anything. I let people present to me, "Hey, have you ever thought of doing this? Have you ever thought of starting a YouTube channel? Hey, have you ever thought of creating a course? Hey, Renee, you know what other people are doing? They're doing this thing. Have you ever tried it? Hey, Renee, Patreon doesn't really seem to be working. Do you really need it? Nope, I don't, right? I'm not really driving the thing. I'm making certain that I am staying aware. So when this new information comes in, I take my world up on it and keep my boat flowing in the direction that I have set, which is, you know, my ultimate intention, my goal. So here's the thing, and I want to wrap this video up with this. Don't put too much pressure on your world to show you the signs, because it's the same with trying to solve a problem. When you're trying to solve a problem, you're essentially trying to force information in or out that's going to cause some resolution to something. It's the same with signs. If you're putting too much emphasis, too much importance, creating excess potential about seeing signs, you may start to perceive signs as meaning something when they don't. You're inner intentioning your signs. And I know this is like, oh my God, well, now it's really confusing. But it's actually not. It's about you relaxing within your world and making certain that the number one task that you have power over, the number one thing you can do to prepare yourself for that, you know, luxurious sort of movement of the alternatives flow taking you, is you relaxing and letting your world present to you at the right time, in the right way, the guiding signs that you need to help you along your journey. So just sort of like, you know, the mantra, my world's taking care of me, everything's going according to plan, things are working out beautifully and will continue to do so with ease. If you really are in this mode, you're not going to try to do anything, and everything will work exactly at the right time that it's supposed to. You don't have to try to do anything. Signs are like heart and mind coordination. When you see one, you're not going to have a question of, am I feeling this, right? And I know a lot of people ask this, like, well, how do I know if I'm experiencing heart and mind coordination? You know if you're experiencing heart and mind coordination. There's no doubt about it. There's a particular feeling or sense that you will have where you're like, okay, this is it. This is it. This is exactly what he was talking about. This is exactly what she was talking about. This is exactly the feeling, and I know it. It's the exact same with seeing a guiding sign. So again, somebody coming to me and being like, hey, Renee, I've got this idea. Now, as soon as I encounter that information, if I feel that little flare of my heart being like, yeah, and my mind saying, yeah, I know that sign was for me. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. This is exactly the task that I am now intended to connect with, that I can focus on and feed my free energy to, which is going to help me continue with that vector that I have set towards that end frame, towards my goal, towards my intention. So again, don't force it, and don't overtly buy into things that you're seeing and cause yourself more confusion. Relax, settle into your intention, work on purification of intention. If you missed that video, go back and take a look. It's a powerful one to pair up with this. And wait for your world to show you the way, because it absolutely will. It absolutely will. So with that, the next one is going to be letting go, because we've been talking about going into the flow, right? And releasing ourselves into that current that's going to take us. But sometimes we're clutching on to old information or old material, old evidence, old theories, old ideas that are hindering us from actually releasing into that flow. So I hope you will join for that one, letting go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye, y'all.